All right, so I'll keep your view there. And what I'm going to do first, I'm going to come in and touch off. And I'm going to zero myself out. I'm going to come in until I just start touching the wood. Now this is already running pretty concentric as it is. So this wood has kept its shape pretty well. Okay, so I've got myself there. I'm going to go ahead and zero my dial. And we're going to go ahead and we know that we have to go 88,000. So I'm going to set it to 0 as well as I can see it. And what we're going to do is we're going to dial in 20,000s. And let's go ahead and make a cut. I know where my relief needs to be, and I will overcut the relief. And we'll make another cut. Now, if everything is gone right, I'm 16 thousandths too big. Let's just see what it mics out at. So right now I'm 2.053. I'm trying to go to 2.035, 35, 4, 5, 6. So I'm close. I'm a little over 16 thousandths too big. And what we're going to do is I'm going to take a 5 thousandths cut right now. I'm just going to put another cutter on. We're going to cut a chamfer on it. All right, we're going to get this stuff out of the way. Let's see if the jug fits on. It shouldn't. Try the jug really quick. All right, fits on perfect. It fits on nice and tight, so we are not going to go any smaller with this. And let's see if we can get the center in the end here. All right, it's pucker time. So what we're going to do is we are going to find my little carriage lock here. Okay. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial in 5 thousandths first. And I'm going to make a pass and see how that cuts. We want to cut a total of 15. And I'll lock my carriage. I'm going to make sure that we're not hitting there. Everything looks good. We're going to feed in slow and see if we can take 5 thousandths off and see how it behaves here. So everything's tight, I think. We're going to dial in another 5. Show you the finish when we're done. Really nice. And we're going to dial in another 5. All right, there's our 15 thousandths off the base. Nice and smooth, nice and shiny. And now I want to take a look at the chamfer on this and see if I can cut a chamfer. So it cut decent. It got a little chattery down in the middle as the speed sped up. I got a good chamfer on it. We got our 15 thousandths off. It's nice and smooth, smoother than it is, from the factory. So we are down 15 thousandths and ready to go on to the next step. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do, first thing I did today was clean this saw. So it is going to get a cleaning again before it goes back together, but we got all the crap off it, sprayed it off, blew it out. 6 ways to Sunday. So the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to check and see what our squish is with the gasket in and see how we did cutting the base. So let's get to it. I'm going to throw our gasket on. General rule of thumb, guys. General rule of thumb on gaskets is that if you have the piston off, double check to see if your piston goes over the gasket. Because if it doesn't, you're going to put your gasket on first before you put your piston on. If you're tearing all the way down, this one does go over. Like, if you see this gasket right here for a 660, you see those, this won't fit over the piston. It has to go on before you put the piston on. So if you put both circlips in and put the piston on and don't put this gasket in, you'll be taking the piston back off. Well, let's see how she came out. Now I have the rings off the piston. They're going to stay off the piston for now. I'm going to drop 2 of the cylinder bolts in. And we'll be using those when we check timing and stuff like that to snug the cylinder down. We don't have to go super tight with it. We're just going to be snugging it down. Just going to snug it down. Is that going to change the squish a teeny bit? A very, very teeny bit. Just snug it down. And I got some smaller, what I have left of my smaller wire here. And let's check it out. Let's see what this came out like. I'll come behind the camera there so you can see it. Change over to Imperial. Should be somewhere around 25. 26. Pretty good. Actually, I'm not even tight. But yeah, it'll go to 25, 23. So I think we hit our number perfect. We will be at the correct number, especially when we snug that cylinder down. Let's check it one more spot. Of course, I could get that down to 23 just by getting the sharp jaws of the calipers into, to bite into the solder. I think it's probably closer to 26. Hopefully that's reaching all the way over. It's going to be close. And let's check the other side. For those of you that are afraid of porting and stuff like that, just doing this alone, well, you would think that cutting the base of a cylinder would scare somebody more than porting, but or you could delete the gasket depending on how thick it is, but just doing this alone is going to be a huge improvement to the saw. 24. I would say that they're probably both really close. So that's awesome. Just doing this to the saw, getting that squish down from 40 to, let's just say, 23, 24 is going to be a massive improvement to the saw. Massive. I also found a big flaw in the porting of the saw. There's a lip on the intake. And when we get to porting it, I'll show it to you. All right, I'm going to try to take you through the timing process. You can see I used actually a paper clip because it's going to stay there, it won't bend. And if it does, it springs right back. I screwed it into this little hole here so that taking the cylinder on and off doesn't affect it. And this is going to stay here until until the porting's done and we check final timing. But first thing that we have to do is we have to balance the wheel. So right now the wheel's free spinning. I'm going to get the piston to approximate top dead center. So that's pretty close there. It's kind of deadening out right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set our wheel at top dead center. Now you guys might not be able to see this, but it's more important than I can. And then we're going to balance the wheel. Okay, so I'm pretty close right there. What we're going to do is like I said before, we're going to, if you didn't watch that, right now we're going to balance the wheel. I'm going to bring the cylinder down a little bit, the piston. We're going to put a piston stop in. Now you can use a regular piston stop. I have some in a bag over there. I'm not going to go get them. This 8mm little nut driver here is going to work perfect. It has to be all the way against the front of the cylinder and not in the exhaust. Okay, just let it hang in there. What we're going to do is we are going to come up until we hit it, and it's going to stop us. And that is at 60, 63. Then we're going to go back down and we're going to go all the way around to the other side. And it's going to tell us how close we are at the top dead center. And that is at 66. So we're 3 degrees off. I'm going to move it. Just to like 60. Oh, that was too much. I don't want to go that far. It'll hold it against the piston stop. I'm going to put it at 64. And now we're going to go all the way around the other way. We're going to see where we are on the other side. We should be pretty close. I'm at 66. I'm just going to see if I can, there we go. Now I'm at 65. I go around the other side. We should be really close. And I'm at 65. So right now, my timing wheel top dead center reads top dead center perfectly. If you didn't do this, your numbers will be off just a little bit depending on which side you read them on. So we'll get our piston stop out. And now what I'm going to do is we're going to start with the numbers. I'm going to check the intake first. I'll let you guys see what I'm doing from that view. And we are going to do, how many degrees before top dead center. Okay, it opens. This number should be somewhere around 75 to 80. Okay, it's right there. So before top dead center, here's top dead center. Right now I'm at 73. So our intake opens 73 degrees before top dead center. If I was rotating in the direction of rotation clockwise, I would have to go 73 degrees to get to top dead center. We want that number to be closer to 80. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it at 80, and I'm going to scribe a line on the piston that I can measure later to know how much I have to drop that intake port. So we're just going to come to 80. Right there. There's a reason for that. If you didn't watch previous video, you probably should. And I'm just going to scribe a teeny little line on the piston. I can tell you with the lip in here, some of this is going to disappear because there's a significant lip in here on the intake. That's terrible for a saw. Absolutely terrible. We'll get into it when we port this thing, but the intake's a terrible shape. It's got a massive lip. Here, let me take you in and show you. Look at the size of the lip. You can see the light shining off it. It's got to stick up at least a 64th of an inch. You can see my little scribe mark there. So I'm going to measure from the bottom of the piston skirt to that. And that's going to tell me how much I have to. Then I'm going to transfer that measurement from the top of the intake bottom right there down, and I'll make a line inside. That'll show me how low I have to go to drop that port to get it to 80. But look at that lip. What a horrible, horrible. Can you see? Look at it in there against the piston. So if I pick this up, there you go. See it? And it's big too. Terrible. Just taking that out, there you can see my scribe line. That's how much that port has to get lowered, which is going to be good because that's going to shoot everything down into the combustion chamber, into the crankcase. So that's really good right there. If we take this to 80, we're doing good things to this intake. That's going to make a big difference in how this saw feeds. Okay, this is going to kind of be hard for me, but you guys getting to see it is going to be the most important part. I'm going to put my light in the spark plug hole, and we're going to come down. We're going to rotate this in the direction of cut, which is clockwise, until we see light. Okay, I can see light. I don't know if you guys can see it right there. I'm going to go back up to that light. Just disappears right there. Okay, and that is right at 100. Top dead center, there's 90, 100, it's right there. So it dropped about 2 degrees. And that's a really good number because if you multiply 80, which we want on the intake, times 2, we get 160 degrees of duration. If we take 100 times 2 is 200, subtract that from 360, what do you get? 160. So if we make the intake 80, leave the roof of the exhaust alone, which you always should do, we're going to have 160 degrees of duration here, 160 degrees of duration here. If you guys watch Walker Saw Shop, when they port, that's all they do is port to balance duration exhaust intake. So 90% of our work, as far as trying to get a number goes right now, is just going to be getting that intake to 80. And it's a pretty significant amount of grinding, don't get me wrong. And then the exhaust, we're just going to make it We'll leave the roof alone, but we're going to make the bottom go down more, and we're going to make it wide as we can make it, that the gasket will still work and we don't get into the walls of the screw holes for the exhaust. So that is the exhaust. I'm going to mark that out at 100 and go on to the transfer. So you guys will get the gist of this. I propped the saw up so I could see down inside the cylinder, and I have light up here too. And I am opening up. Oh, there's my transfers open. They're flatter than I thought they were. And my freaking knee's shaking. And I'm going to come up to just when I believe, this is really hard to do, guys, on this. Just when I believe they close. About right there. 20. I got 123, 124 probably. So if you look at top dead center, there's 90, 100, 10, 20, about 124. That is a beautiful number. That means we only have 24 degrees of blowdown. So last time when we hit that piece of solder, we probably bent it and messed up our transfer number there. So the transfers start to open about 123, 124 after top dead center, rotating this way. There's 90, 100, 10, 20, approximately 4. So that's a really good number with 24 degrees of blowdown. That our numbers right now are beautiful. What I know about porting, I've learned from others, and also sitting around and contemplating why things are which way and things I disagree with and blah, 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 blah. What I do know is when you watch somebody like a Jason Egan port a saw or the Walker boys port a saw, when you see that saw run, usually it's really snappy and it 4 strokes at a super high RPM. That's all in their special sauce. But these guys aren't doing boost ports and things like that. They're going to numbers. So I trust the numbers that they give me when they give me numbers on a saw. The 98, 124, 80 number is transferable across the board. It really is. It's a really, really good set of numbers. We'll talk about the numbers. The 100 on the exhaust ceiling is a really good number because it's going to balance with the intake when we get the intake to 80. We'll have 160 degrees of duration on the exhaust and 160 degrees of duration on the intake. And if you follow the Walker boys, they think that's awesome. I don't think Jason works so much that way, but that's how the Walkers work, Donnie Walker. The transfers at 124 is 24 degrees of blowdown. Everybody in the world is always trying to shrink that number, and I believe that makes the saw rev better. What it is it's the area after you've pulled the charge into the cylinder before you go into compression, because you're not really in compression until you get above the exhaust ceiling. Then you're in compression. And there's a little bit of variance there because of the distance to the ring. The smaller you make that number, the better your saw will rev. And I believe the bigger that number is, the more charge that's in there, the torqueier the saw is going to be. Most of these port guys, because of the shape of their ports and the size of their ports and how they know to do the ports, are making the saw breathe so well and get so much more on the intake. And we're going to increase the duration of the intake a lot. So we're going to get a lot more charge. They're not so much worried about the size of the charge coming in through the intakes. They're more worried about getting that saw to really, really rev fast. And they've improved it on everything else. So that's the down low on our numbers. We are going to pull that cylinder back off. We're going to take a measurement on the piston to see how far down we have to come to get to 80. We are going to mark out the 80 on the intake. We'll use Sharpie and we'll scribe a mark at 80 to know how low we have to take the intake. That's going to be our first job because that takes care of our numbers. Then from there, all we're doing is cleaning up ports. One thing that I want to show you, I'm going to check my port tops on my transfers for symmetry. I'm going to show you how to do that. And just so that you know this, you can use this method in a lot of different situations. Don't undo your timing wheel. You don't want to have to go set it back up. But I'm going to show you how to put a piston ring in the cylinder above the piston, push it up, take the cylinder off. We can push it up to that 124 number that we think we are on our transfers. And the piston will push that ring up in there perfectly level or perpendicular to the bore. And then you can just pull it off and look at it and see what your port tops look like and if any of them need to be addressed. And it also, you're going to get a double check on your number because it should be right at the top. All right. I'm going to put the ring inside the cylinder. We're going to push it up a little bit. So it kind of get up in there a little bit. Just give me a little room to get the piston in there. Make sure the piston's at bottom dead center. Which that is. And like I said, we should just be able to hold this on here. So we're going to get the piston in there. Get her all the way down. And our number was after top dead center. So rotating this way, we want to be at that 124 from top dead center. So there's 90, 100, 10, 20, 4. So we're looking for 56 on here. Just be able to rotate this to 56 in the upwards direction. That's 55. That should be pretty close right there. And we should be able to pull this off now. And our ring should be right at the top of our transfers. And I'll show this to you. You can see our ring. Try to get in focus. So the transfers dip down in the center. And you can see the rings right at the edge where it was cracking over there. That's what I was measuring off of. And it's right pretty much at the edge over there. Let's look at the other side. Transfers definitely are not flat. And it's the same on these ones. It's they curve up to the center. And the ring is right at that edge on the right side of that one transfer on the right that you can see. And it's right at the beginning of the left side of the left one. And you see in the center, there's a bunch of meat there. So these transfers both angle down. All right, I'm going to show you guys quick on this before we get into the porting and everything, how I'm going to mark that intake. Just took a business card, cut my square edge here. I just cut the top off it and the sides off it so it would fit better. And we're going to use the square edge against the bottom of the cylinder. Just going to line it up with the bottom of the cylinder here. I'm going to make a mark at the bottom of my intake. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but that's the bottom of my intake minus half a pencil width. Better if I was a little sharper. And I have to come down 1/8 of an inch. I mic'd it. It's 112 thousandths. So I have to come down 1/8 of an inch. I'm just going to cut this off right there. Sure, no, this is my straight edge. We are going to take a Sharpie, a sharp Sharpie. That one will work. I am going to put it in here, line it up with bottom of the cylinder. Take my Sharpie and make a mark across the top of that. So you see in there, in the middle there, focused, I have to come down to the bottom of that Sharpie line. That'll get me to that 80 degrees. And we want to look at the shape of the port there. See the shape of the port? We kind of want to keep it shaped somewhat like that. Doesn't need to be exact. This is pretty wide. So we will clean up those ears on the sides, drop the center all the way down till that Sharpie line is gone, and then we're done. And just shape it out. First thing I'm going to do is just use a regular diamond, a round diamond, and that is to take that ridge off in there so I don't, with a real aggressive carbide cutter, go in and chip all that plating. So I'm just going to go in and take that lip off, try to get you as good a view as I can. Obviously that plating in there is pretty hard. The diamond makes short work of it, and this is now what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to bevel down a little bit to try to get some of the plating out of there. Take out a little more. I'm just trying to keep from chipping the plating. A little bit of a tip, so this rotates like this. You always want to cut back into the rotation. Try not to cut back the other way, because what will happen is the bit will run away from you. It'll ding all around in there and get bent. So if you can, just always try to cut back towards you. And this diamond loaded up pretty good. I'm just going to try to use a different part of it, get a little more off. Just going to shut this off. We're going to switch bits. I'm going to put on a good carbide cutter. I've got it chamfered in pretty good right now. This carbide cutter is going to cut a lot faster. And if you hear the way that I keep doing full length sweeps back into the cut, that works the best for me to keep symmetry. Try to avoid the urge of, if you see that black line, just going in the middle and cutting down to the black line and then trying to blend that, because you'll keep dipping into it and making it worse. Just take it down in chunks and keep looking at the symmetry of the bottom of your port and working on that symmetry. Now this port is all messed up. It's got terrible symmetry to it. It dips down into that corner over there. There's a big hump in the middle. We're going to try to make it look very symmetrical without really touching the front of this, because this matches up to the intake boot that goes on here. But we're going to take everything out of our way and blend it down to that line and keep that shape that it was. And I do have a cheapo Harbor Freight Dremel sitting over here with just a little sanding disc in it, in case I just need it for something to clean something up quick. These carbide cutters I got out of a company in Boston. They're a little expensive, but they work incredible. You just have to be careful in corners with them because you don't you can get caught in a corner and do the ding 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 and wipe it out really quick. So I mean bend it. And I'm not the greatest at this, so now I'm going to try to go ahead and see how this is going to behave in here. I like to work on my leg. We also want to make sure that that carbide's not loading up. If it is, one thing that you can do, I'll show you this. I'm almost to the bottom of the line now. One thing that you can do is get yourself like a little cap full of like 3-in-1 oil and keep dipping it in there. It'll keep cleaning itself out. But if you look inside, I'm almost to the bottom of that black line now. It's almost gone. So I really want to concentrate on my symmetry now. You can see I took out the whole bottom of the really the bump that was in there. And I'm just cleaning down to my line and trying to stay nice and even, try to get you a good view. Just trying to keep it nice and symmetrical and work down. And once I get to the bottom of the line, then I'll just clean it up. And keep going. I'm going to show you one port, and then we'll get on to something else. Only got a little bit to go to the bottom of that line there. I'm going to get close to it. And every now and then I have to work my way back to get rid of the stuff that's in front of it. So I'm just getting to the bottom of my black line. I'm trying to get this to be more symmetrical right now. I'm not doing anything on the top. I might just clean it up to roughen it up, but I'm not doing anything to it. I'm just trying to make the bottom of the port symmetrical. It's getting there. So I'll show you where I am. Just get all the way cleaned out, all the way into the corners on both sides. Don't pay attention to the black line, but the bottom of the port's looking fairly symmetrical. I just want to clean up the transition into the cylinder on both sides. And I'm going to clean the cylinder out, take that black line off because I'm down to depth. I just want to make this a little more symmetrical. Like it looks like a little needs to maybe come out here. So it keeps looking like this side. When I look in from here, it keeps looking in like that side's high. You see that, how that's sticking up over there? So I keep taking some out there. What it's done is it's really It's really rounded that side out nice, and this side still has got a little bit of an angle, so I think I just want to clean that one corner up right where my thumb is, right where I made that mark right there, and just make it look more like that side. And this port will just be basically done. I'll put a chamfer on it. Doesn't really super need one, but I will make sure there's a good chamfer on the top. There's already one there from the factory. Nothing goes below that though, so I just want to clean it up a little bit. See, I keep taking stuff out on this left side where that little black line is there because it looks high, but I look lower over there. When you're looking from here though, oh, because that is over there. I am lower over there. That side needs to come out. Right there. Yeah, that side looks nice. This side looks like it's just got a little chunk just below that black line. Getting there. I want to show you that, how close my ears are to the, so you see where the piston window is right there? You got that little, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch-ish, quarter of an inch to where the piston, where you can see the cross hatching. And on this side, I'm pretty much the same thing. So it's very symmetrical as far as the width goes. I like the shape. Timing number's down to that 80 number. I hate the top of it right now, but I don't think that it's not functional. So I like the bottom, the shape of the bottom. It's all cleaned out on both sides. I like the way that the port shoots down into the cylinder. It's nice. It's really hard to get you a good view, guys. Sorry. And I think this intake, short of just maybe just cleaning up that top a little bit. I'll do that with a diamond. See if we can just chamfer it. Let's see if I can just make that top look a little bit more pretty. So just what I'm looking at is just the symmetry of it. Looks 1,000 times better now. Nice straight line, good chamfer. All right, so the intake is done. Just cleaned it up. Everything shoots in the right direction. Everything's nice and roughed up. Came up nice and symmetrical. It's the same distance on both sides from the cross hatching. And we're at our number. So that came out really good. And I'm going to move onto the exhaust. I also did blend the spark plug hole a little bit just to make sure that it was all nice and flat up here, so the spark plug can see good. It was like a teeny little piece of that insert that was sticking up over here. I kind of just ground it all perfect there. And we're going to move on to the exhaust. I need to get the gasket because, to be honest with you, there's not much exhaust here to grind. It's pretty huge. It's massive. So we got to see how much we can take. We can go sideways a little bit, probably about split that distance to the hole. We got to see how big the gasket is, but obviously the gasket was open over to that black mark right there. So we can get probably halfway over there. So take out a bunch on the sides and make sure that we take out as much on the bottom while leaving enough here for the gasket to cover. And just make sure it all angles down and out. So we want to truncate it so that this opening, this part, and this part are the biggest parts of the port. The inside port, and this is a mistake a lot of people make on exhaust ports, okay? You don't want to make that inside port as big as this outside port. You want an opening like a cone called truncated out. This needs to be the biggest part of that exhaust port. Don't want to make this huge in there. You'll kill your power if you make that huge. It looks beautiful. The chamfer on it's awesome. It's nice and clean on the top of the port there. The bottom's got a nice shape to it. You can see that the bottom's got a nice shape to it. All we want to do is take out material here, here, and here, and have it, make sure it shoots down, and that this opening is always got to be bigger in every dimension than that one. You can't have that one wider than this, or your exhaust is going to fight to get out, and it's going to back up into your cylinder, and you're going to kill your power. You want to make sure that this is bigger. That if you look inside there, see where that edge of the port is on that side and on that side on the inside, you want to make sure that the outside is further out than the inside. So don't go in here and widen this port way out. All you're going to do is kill your power. So we're going to get ready to do that. Work on this. I got to find the exhaust gasket. All right, so I scribed some lines on here. Square to the cylinder base up the sides. Eyeballed this one across the bottom. I'm going to hog out to just inside that line, and that line, straight across the top with radius corners. Hog out most of the outside first and then blend my way backwards. Probably start working on the bottom. Take the bottom down to about there. The gasket's not huge, and I am going to get outside of, if you look at that gasket, it's got this little seal on it that goes up against the muffler itself. We're going to get outside that. Probably not on the top, but definitely on the bottom and on the sides. And eventually what we'll do when we finish with this, we'll bolt this on there, and then we'll just match up the shape to this, and then do the same thing with the muffler. So let's start hogging on this. Actually, I'm going to start on this side, then take the bottom down, and then flip it like this and work on that side. All right, so this side's pretty close. I can still take out a little material inside, but I want to get the whole outside done first, and then I can kind of work my way into the small parts. So let's do this to the bottom. Same thing we just did. Now I'm pretty much down to my line there with a good radius in the corner, good radius here. I'm going to work out to this line on this side now. Actually, we'll get you back. Yeah, I'll do it down here. Oh. That bit cut really good on this side. That really went fast. I'm going to flip it and work on that other side and try and get it to the same level as this one. That really went well. There's a lot more material over here. Need a little more oil. From time to time when you're working on exhaust, you want to clean things up because you are going to end up trying to polish this as much as you can. So I'm looking pretty good right now. The exhaust itself compared to the port's a weird shape. It shoots down this way a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up, the bottom up, back as far as I can. The bottom has some plating on it, so it's tougher. And we're going to be getting close here. It didn't take long at all. Is really coming along pretty well. I can see I got a little spot in there. This side's looking good. So what I'm looking to do now is I'm looking for humps. The bottom of this is pretty good. There are a couple of humps in here, right here, and there's a little hump right here. So I'm going to take those humps out, and then we're going to be pretty close. I'm going to vacuum this out for a second, take a look at it. It doesn't look that bad. We just took out a bunch of material in a very short time. Feels pretty flat on the sides. You got to be really careful you don't get into these holes. Looks like I still have maybe, it's kind of weird because if you look at it, it looks like it's a little bit offset. Like there's more material over here than there is over there. This looks more like a straight shot. And this looks like it angles in a little bit, which it may. This would just mean that this is off center from the port inside a little bit. But we are getting there. It's coming out. I'm just going to vacuum it really quick and clean myself off, and then we'll take a look at it and maybe start going at it with some sandpaper a little bit. I wrecked my small mandrel, and that stinks because this was the perfect tool to do these radiuses. So I'm probably going to have to do them with the diamond bits. I don't know how big. Yeah, this it's too big. It's going to get caught in the corners and go and it's all over. So let me clean this up. So this is not finished, and it's going to be kind of hard to get the light right to show you what it looks like because of the contrasting colors. If you look down the inside of this port here, you can see there's some material in there. And you can see that the inside of the port back there is hidden behind a bump. See, it's way back over there. So that all needs to come out. All this material right here. till it's at least a straight shot to the back of the port, kind of like this side is. This side, if you see the back of the port back there, it's maybe a teeny little bump, but overall, the edge of the port is even with the edge of that wall. This side, it's not that way. You see that? There's a bump in there. So that's going to come out. And we get maybe a little bit of work to do on the floor just to bring it down a little bit. You can see there's a bump in this side right here. That's going to come out. And that's what I'm doing now is I'm working those bumps out and trying to straighten up my lines and my radiuses. So this side's definitely got some work to do here. But it's getting bigger. This side's a lot better now. The light's going to play with this. It's hard because of the changing colors. This side's a lot better now. Really hard to see because you get that shiny spot right there. Squaring up. And let's work on everything else. So you can see I got a hump right in here that I got to take out. Looking really good now. I can start cleaning this up. No humps, no humps, no humps. I can see the whole port. Truncated out nice. So I'm going to work on getting in there with something that I can start smoothing this out with. All right, we're going to try smoothing it with a rock first. Get some oil on it. I'm going to try to put in hit some with a wire brush. I don't really dare go any further out on the bottom. So I think at this point, it's just a matter of cleaning up the inside, double checking to make sure there aren't any bumps or anything, or stuff that's obviously it's nothing sticking up further than the port inside. See that? Just a matter of getting it smoothed out now. That's gigantic. Actually, it looks pretty good. It's nice and smooth. If I could just get it all cleaned, I might have to go in there and do a little bit of finger sanding. Or I'll look at what I got for things here, to different tool bits here. I can almost get that top. Hi. You out? Okay. You taking Danny? Is he staying? Oh, no. Nope. He's no home stay. Hi, buddy. What's happening? I can't use that around you, though, bud. I don't want you to get one of those in your eye. Hi. You want to go outside? Yeah? You want the people to see you? Look at Danny. Hi. You want to go outside? Okay, Daddy will take a break. All right, guys. I'm going to get this all kind of uploaded. I mean, this is where we are, right? We turned the base down, came out perfect as far as the squish goes. We've already ported the intake, and you don't want to smooth that. You want to leave it rough. We have basically ported the exhaust. I haven't decided whether I'm completely happy with it or not. I'll look at it again a little bit later. We're out to where we're kind of rendering the gasket useless, and we don't want to. We also cleaned up the spark plug port here, and we're pretty much done on this thing. I think I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup on it tonight, and we will bolt this to that and match it. It's a pretty significant amount. Has to come off this side over here, that side there, and that'll give us a pretty good look at how much we open this up. And I probably will show that. Man, that intake came out great. Looks beautiful. And we're waiting for our cable rings, and Ralph came over. Ralph Alfieri, the owner of the saw, came over and brought me all the parts that were missing. So I'll shoot a little bit more video tonight, and that might go on to a tomorrow video because we can't really do anything till we get the rings in. But I'll watch all this back, and we'll edit some of it, and we'll see how it comes out. So thanks for watching.